Hi, everybody. Welcome to off-season. Maybe it's a preseason edition of Why Eagles Why. We're all excited. Some scheduling news coming out for 2022. Dave Bontempo, Bill Gelman, and Pete Amato with you. Glad you're with us. Please hit like and subscribe so you can be notified about future videos. First of all, guys, it's great to see you.
Same, it's been a while.
Yeah, we feel like we're missing something without the football news, but now we've got some. It just broke that although the NFL schedule will come out very soon, we have a sneak peek, and the Eagles will have their home opener September 19th on Monday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. Pete, what is the first thing that came into your head when you saw that news?
Justin Jefferson. It's actually going to be the first time we face Justin Jefferson since Howie passed on him, which is kind of surprising when you think about it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I was just looking over some of these stats here, and these stats are not surprising. I mean, even though they're pretty daunting, they're not surprising at all. Over the last two seasons, Rager has completed 64 receptions for 695 yards and 3 touchdowns. For comparison, Jefferson has completed 196 receptions for 3,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. So
unbelievable. And I believe he's made the Pro Bowl in both of those 2 years too. And for reference sake, anyone who doesn't remember, Jalen Rager picked immediately before Justin Jefferson. So even on draft night, they were going, what is this?
Yeah.
And that has proven to be true. So now he will be coming here. And Bill, what is surprising, you already have some information on some numbers in this game.
Yeah, I just I was on the DraftKings sportsbook app as we were getting ready to record here. Eagles are already a 2.5-point favorite, which boggles my mind that the sportsbooks. I'm not surprised the sportsbooks put up the odds so soon, like as soon as the games are announced. But you don't know who's going to be healthy for the game. You don't know who's going to be on the final roster. So basically, you're looking at this as, you know, you get that 3 points for being the home team. So they gave a little less, I guess, because there's so many unknowns. But it's, you know, there's no betting off season is what it tells me. These numbers are hitting behind the screen.
There certainly is. There's not even a betting off period in the course of a given day. These people are out there. They've got all kinds of things up. And so it does prompt some attention about interest in that game, which is several months away, and we've already got a spread. We've got some other news to share with you as well in the second quarter. Why Eagles? Why? Second quarter, a scheduling tweak unveiled that on the second week of the NFL, September 19th, the Eagles are one of the featured games, and it's one of them. Pete, we're going to have 2 games on Monday Night Football, and not consecutively. They're staggered this year in an interesting development.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I don't think it's going to help with views. I don't think it's going to help them make money. I'm really not sure why, because the Eagles play at 8:30, and the Buffalo plays Tennessee at 7:15. So it's not like, I mean, the diehard fans are not going to switch back and forth, most likely. They may DVR the one that's not as important to them and go back. But if you have fans that aren't like, if it's like fans of other teams that just want to watch football, they might switch back and forth. So that might be beneficial to NFL as far as that way. But yeah, I'm not really, I can't put they haven't really come out with any reasons why, like definite reasons. There's been rumors and stuff like that. But I mean, if anything, it could be exciting as far as live betting. I mean, you can be live betting one and watch the other because when it comes to me, I don't really like to bet Eagles games. I tend to bet with my heart more, and I do not like doing that. So I mean, for me, it could be a good thing because it gives me a game to bet on while the Eagles are on. So, and I don't have to bet on the Eagles game, and there's not like 4 other games on, so it's not like a 1 o'clock game on a Sunday. There's only 1 game on, so I guess it's not a bad thing.
Well, it will be interesting to see what happens when they go to a commercial because, yeah, the era of the NFL red zone has made us really appreciate how much we hate commercials in the NFL because they are so overdone. If you're betting, you can flip back and forth, or you maybe watch on one device both games, and so you're betting with a third situation. But now, Bill, how does this strike you as an idea, both for viewers and for bettors?
I mean, in reality, with the new TV contract, they're trying to get in as many games as possible. I mean, you have the now Thursday night Amazon Prime. They have the exclusive Thursday night package, ESPN /ABC. They now are in the Super Bowl rotation. So now instead of 3 networks rotating the Super Bowl, you have 4 different networks. You have the Thanksgiving Day triple header. Now there's football on Christmas Day. So the networks are shelling out so much money. So in my mind, they're just going to try and get in as many games as possible. The league's making money, so from their perspective, it's everyone's watching it, and it's they all of us just naturally will when it's do you want to watch a commercial, you want to flip to the other games. I think people are actually going to flip back and forth during the commercial, especially if one of the games isn't close. And with the scattered time, one game will be at halftime. So instead of watching a halftime show, you'll jump to the other game. But what I think is even more interesting here is you have a situation where A.J. Brown's new team is playing the same day when A.J. Brown's former team is playing. So it's like the A.J. Brown sequel. So I don't know if there was any thought given to that. I mean, Buffalo is going to be one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl this year. Eagles have a lot of unknowns. Could they contend with the moves they made? So it's going to be interesting as we get closer to this week 2 of the NFL season, all the storylines that develop out of this.
An interesting Gelman's gold nugget, A.J. Brown from the Titans. They'll be playing first. His new team, the Eagles, will be playing second. Good observation, Bill. We'll talk about more regarding the Eagles and the whole picture in the third quarter. Third quarter of Why Eagles Why. Well, guys, it's been a couple weeks now since the draft has occurred for the Eagles. We all thought they got in the neighborhood of a B plus. Now, when you look at the situation and how they're coming out of it, Pete, as you look back, what stood out most to you in this particular draft for the Eagles?
For me, 2 things stood out. One bad, one good. So as far as the bad, their first pick, Jordan Davis, I didn't like it at all. I didn't understand it. I get the guy is an athletic freak. He plays on Georgia, national champions, all that. But the Eagles were 31st in pass rush, 31st. So they end up moving up in the draft and getting a pure run stop tackle. I just didn't understand it. Jordan Davis to waste a first round pick on a guy who only played about 35 to 40% of the snaps in college. He's 6'6", 340 pounds. I know he did his 40-yard dash was 4.78, which is insane for a guy that big. But we needed somebody that can affect the pass rush game, and this guy is not that at all. He's a run stopper. He's a pure run stopper. Can he learn to kind of be more of a pass rusher? Maybe, but I mean, he's so big, he's not even going to be on the field half the time. You're really only going to use them first and second down. I can't see them using this guy on third down when we need to get to the quarterback. He has poor conditioning. He gets fatigued quickly, which we saw in the championship game. I just thought it was a shiny. It was Howie's shiny new object. I mean, it was the pick that was cool at the time, and because this guy had a great. He's as athletic, and he looked great at the 40-yard. I just didn't think it just didn't make sense to me to what they needed. So as far as what I really liked, I loved the Nakobe Dean. I can't believe he fell to the third round. I was actually looking at Nakobe Dean even before the draft. I really liked him. Yeah, he's everybody says he's a little small. And for some reason, this injury rumor went around. I feel like Nakobe Dean dropped. He was the victim of so-called sports media members who were looking for views and ran with a story they didn't even know was true or not. And it turned out to not be true. The guy never had a doctor come out and say he had a long-term injury with his pec. And like I said, I feel like he was a victim of what social media is now. And I feel like anybody can anybody can put out news without even needing a source. But fortunately, it ended up in our favor, and we got him. I think he's going to be a great linebacker for us. For one thing, he's super smart. I don't know if anybody knows this, but he's a 4.0 student. Has never received anything under an A in his college career, and he wants to make time to be a doctor or engineer in between his football career. I mean, the guy is just, if you hear him talk, he's just very intelligent, and that's what you need in a linebacker, because they see the whole field. So, I mean, it's a shame that he dropped as far as he's concerned. I mean, obviously he probably wanted to go first round, but as far as the Eagles, I mean, it's great. It's great that we got him. I'm super pumped to see him this year and to see how he does.
Bill, there you are at the Philadelphia Art Museum. Is there anything that you saw in that draft that made you go, yes?
Well, I'm going to sort of piggyback on what Pete was saying. I agree with in terms of the Jordan Davis pick. I think there's a lot of question marks surrounding him. We don't know what was talked about behind the scenes. Maybe Howie looks at Jordan Davis as a project, and maybe take a couple of years to develop him into maybe a playing 3 downs as opposed to 2 downs, and learning under the tutelage of Fletcher Cox. I don't know. The Eagles, not just with Howie, but the Eagles have a track record of question mark first round picks. We can touch on that guy, Jalen Reagor, that was touched on in the first quarter, but I don't think we should waste any time with that. I'm a big fan of the Dean pick. I agree. I can't believe he made it to the third round, but he is going to be the star of this year's draft class if he can stay healthy.
Yes.
It doesn't surprise me that he wants to be a doctor, with the last name of Dean, sort of goes with the name. But I am extremely excited about the A.J. Brown pick, the trade, correct myself there, because it gives the Eagles another offensive weapon. Because last year, we had the situation, if Devontae Smith wasn't open, where was Jalen Hurts throwing the ball? We need a situation where you have multiple running backs, which they have, and multiple receivers. I think right now it's you have a situation where you have Smith and A.J. Brown being the 1 and 2 wide receivers. I think those 2 guys will, be like 1 and 1A, not essentially 1 and 2. And then you have a situation like Quez Watkins and Zach Pasquale, who they picked up from the Colts, who can, take the slot wide receiver or be in that situation where, oh, the first two guys are in double coverage. Oh, look who's wide open in the middle of the field. And then you have Dallas Goedert, who's an up and coming tight end. So on paper, there's a lot of promising pieces, and you have a situation with AJ Brown, two seasons of 1,000 yards receiving already. He probably would have had 3 if he didn't play only 13 games last season. But he's a proven wide receiver. I know we were talking during the draft, like why would they trade for him if if his contract's up, and they, sure enough, Howie gave him a deal, and supposedly Howie was working on that deal while the trade was being done. They weren't just going to say, oh, we'll take AJ Brown for some draft capital, and then we'll worry about the contract later. They obviously invested in him. I think the wide receiver market right now is crazy, where every top wide receiver is getting $100 million deal. But that's what the market demands right now. The situation with Devontae Adams and Tyrone Hill, who switched teams. So it's going to be exciting on paper. It's exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing once training camp opens what we hear about these guys and who stay healthy. And Nick Sirianni has a lot of talent to work with right now, so I'm curious to see how he adjusts with all this new talent.
All right, so we know that Howie Roseman is a rambling, gambling man. The Eagles' general manager, Nakobe Dean, may have been the steal of the draft for the Eagles in the 3rd round. I agree with both of you. And in the 4th quarter, we're going to talk about how you make all that talent mesh. 4th quarter special edition of Why Eagles Why. Dave Fontempo, Bill Gelman, and Pete Amato with you. This is the look at the news that was released about the Eagles playing on Monday Night Football in the 2nd week. Make sure you look at our related video, which will come up right after the schedule is released, and we'll go through the Eagles' entire overview. So check out both of them, and make sure to please hit like and subscribe to be notified about future videos. As we start the 4th quarter, Pete will come to you first. All this talent now on offense. Nick Sirianni, day 1, job 1. What do you do?
Well, I wouldn't worry about the offense. Nick Sirianni's first job, go right up to Jonathan Gannon and tell him to rip up whatever playbook he had last year, because it was weak, it was soft, and it was everything the Eagles don't want to be on defense. They made opposing quarterbacks, average quarterbacks, look like Tom Brady. It was frustrating to watch, and everybody saw it coming. It was just such a weak, soft defense, and where he would
like
just
a playbook.
What's that?
Didn't even look like a playbook.
No, it was probably 2-3 plays, zone plays, where he had them cushion back 8-9 yards. It was unbelievable. It looked like I was watching a high school game. And honestly, to be honest, I was hoping Jonathan Gannon would have got hired as a head coach somewhere else, so we wouldn't have to deal with him again. But he didn't, because other teams probably saw how soft he was in the interviews. But I just can't stand that style of defense. I'm a big Jim Johnson guy. I mean, I love the old style Jim Johnson, Jeremiah Trotter, Brian Dawkins defense, where it's just downhill. I mean, you go big or you go home with defense. And we can have the best defensive players on the field, but if Jonathan Gannon continues to not change his game up or get more aggressive, it's going to be more of the same next season. So yeah, Sirianni needs to basically give him an ultimatum or send him packing.
So Pete, do you think that he was 8 yards back from the people questioning him during the interview?
Yeah.
Those soft interviews.
He's probably like,
Hey, Bill, Nick Sirianni, day 1, job 1. What do you see?
Work with, have a sit down with Jalen Hurts and getting him to focus better on reading the field better. When your first target
Yes.
isn't open, don't your initial reaction shouldn't be just run with the ball. You have all these weapons now. I have no problem with Jalen Hurts running. He's an athletic quarterback, but you have two what I would consider top tier wide receivers now that I mentioned. You have one of the best up and coming tight ends. If Miles Sanders is healthy, very talented back. I don't know what the story is with Boston Scott, but Kenny Gainwell has another year under his belt. So there's a lot of pieces here. You got to blend those pieces together, and I think Jalen Hurts pretty much had those growing pains to get accustomed to the NFL game. Now let's see if you can take what he learned last season, read the field better, and don't be in a situation where I go out for a family event and the Eagles wait till I come back to start moving the ball on offense, which happened a couple of times last season.
Yeah, at least 3 times.
Yeah, I want to see this offense click from the beginning of the season because the reality, we're still talking about the NFC East, least, whatever you want to call it. The Cowboys are always a mystery because they're the most fed, overhyped team. Did they live up to expectations because they don't have Amari Cooper anymore? And you don't know, what their story is. The Giants and Washington Commanders, that's going to take some time getting used to. They're not going to do anything this year. So, if the Eagles offense gets clicking from the start, if Jonathan Gannon gets his playbook in place and, doesn't make it so obvious as to what the Eagles defense is going to be doing, they can take control of this division early because, their schedule is going to be tougher, but I don't think it's going to be so tough that the Eagles are going to not going to be able to keep up with these teams.
Well, Bill, make sure you check your mailbox because there may be some rumors that Howie Roseman is going to ask you to do your family events 2 hours earlier so that when you get back, they'll be ready to play at the start of the game. And we know a lot of bettors took advantage of that situation last year, and they would play the Eagles' opponents in the first half and the Eagles in the second half, and that was a way to play that. But we'll see how it all comes together. And by the way, what are sportsbook expectations? The Caesars Sportsbook still has the Eagles pegged at 9 wins, which is exactly where they were last year. So the discussion is heating up. We're looking forward. We're going to see the schedule, and we'll talk a lot more. But thanks for joining us on this edition of Why Eagles Why. For Bill Gelman and for Pete Amato, this is Dave Bontempo. We'll see you soon.